It is time to check in with infectious disease specialist Dr. Zain Chagla with the latest developments of COVID-19. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. So, news just what we wanted to hear this morning. More vaccines are rolling into Canada and more shots getting into arms. And May 24th, it's hoped that everyone adults 18 plus can get a shot. So, are we turning a corner here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, supply is doubling. We're getting lots of Moderna and Pfizer. It's really good news. And the province really did this right. They put vaccines into places that have been hit the hardest. They gave them the first opportunity to get everyone vaccinated, and then opened it up to the rest of the province after that. So it may not be that every Canadian gets or an Ontarian gets a vaccine on May 24th. They still have to book. That's when they're eligible. But I think we're probably going to see people vaccinated by mid-June. And again, second doses starting to flow in then, which is really good news for us to get back to normal.
Well, yeah, Phil Collins wants to know when we're getting back to normal because Genesis is going on tour and they've picked Canada. So there's shows in November. But I mean, what is a reasonable goal for back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say November is off the table, right? The goal again by probably the end of the summer is to get the vast majority of second doses into people. The 30% of people have already gotten a first shot, and that's going to escalate even more over time. We're seeing it in the United States when second doses are getting into people, when population immunity is high. They're able to open things up and get back to eating and drinking indoors and having outdoor events and that Rangers game with 40,000 people in the stands. So it's getting there, right? And again, this is hopeful news that our supply is good enough that we can get fully vaccinated people pumped out very quickly.
Is vaccine uptake and disinformation an issue of concern for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vast majority of Canadians understand. And, the numbers are actually getting better and better and better of Canadians willing to get vaccinated from those being polled. So, I think people understand this is the path to normal. They're seeing the real life data. They're seeing their friends and family get vaccinated. They understand that, the severity of COVID-19. And, obviously this is a terrible time for us in terms of healthcare capacity, but I think it made it very real for everyone of what this virus could do. And again, that probably drives vaccine uptake as much as possible. So I really do think, we are probably going to see numbers between 80 to 90% at the end of this, which is probably going to be higher than many places outside of Canada.
Right, because it's the U.S. and of course being our neighbor, that's a concern as well. Are they going to reach that percentage required?
Yeah, there's a lot more fundamental vaccine, anti-vax efforts, a lot more fundamental vaccine hesitation there. They've been hit harder and probably have some more degree of natural infection immunity, but they're going to saturate at some point, and it might be coming soon.
Doesn't help with crazy stories. You probably heard about a legislator in Orange County asking about vaccines and whether they had tracking devices. So there's still a problem with.
Yeah, and again, in higher places, which doesn't help, right? Again, Canadians and lots of our politicians, celebrities have been on board with the Vax campaign, and so be it, right? That's fantastic.
Yeah. There's a Mac researcher in a recent article who, it might be late in the game in the current rollout, but was talking about the efficacy of mixing up vaccines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have this concept of mixing vaccines. Some of the ways people get their pneumonia shots these days is actually two different vaccines given, 8 weeks apart. There's animal model data suggesting it's reasonable. You trigger different parts of the immune system different ways, which may be more synergistic than one way alone. There is trials ongoing now in the United Kingdom looking at AstraZeneca and a second dose of mRNA vaccine. And I think it also becomes important as we start looking at, the risk of this clotting issue with second doses of AstraZeneca, and if there's a benefit to shifting people over to an mRNA vaccine for their second dose. So that trial is a large trial. I think it's enrolling thousands of individuals in the United Kingdom. I think it's finished enrolling now. So hopefully, again, we'll get those results, and it might actually change the vaccine strategy for those who did get AstraZeneca as their first shot.
We still have a big disconnect with the current restrictions, and we've talked about this before, about outdoors being restricted and how that is not helpful. Probably the most blatant example is golf courses, a business that's being unnecessarily hurt.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of focus on mobility, right? And I think that mobility is a marker. It is a marker often of congregation, but it's not the only marker. Um, at some point we have to put on the table these things are low risk, whether there's 10 cases or 10,000 cases. And some of that is outdoor recreation like golf and tennis. Some of that is, some of the efforts in Toronto to try to bring drinking in parks and saying if you can do it safely, why can't we do it safely? I think as you get more partially vaccinated people out there, they're going to look for things to do. If you don't give them opportunities to do things safely, they're going to do things unsafely indoors because they feel like they've been protected at this point.
Right. Well, we got to go. By the way, love your shirt. Who are you
Yes,
wearing?
thank you.
Did you get that from Ryan Reynolds?
No, he wore it much better than me.
Oh, no, I don't think so. But it's an important message. And thanks for joining us again,
No
as you
problem.
do weekly. Dr. Zain Chagla.